The 2026 MotoGP season hasn't even started yet, and we've already witnessed two of the most dramatic developments in recent paddock history. First, Yamaha's brand new V4 engine project completely collapsed during the Sepang test, forcing the entire factory to sit out a full day after both Fabio Quartararo and Toprak Razgatlioglu broke their engines. Then, the 2027 rider market exploded in 24 hours, with Fabio Quartararo reportedly agreeing to join Honda, Jorge Martin heading to Yamaha to replace him, and Pedro Acosta allegedly signing with Ducati. The season opener in Thailand is just days away on March 1st, but the paddock is already in absolute chaos. Let's start with Yamaha's absolute nightmare at Sepang. For decades, Yamaha has been the only manufacturer running an inline-4 engine while everyone else went V4. They finally made the switch for 2026, unveiling their completely redesigned YZR M1 powered by a V4 engine. This was supposed to be Yamaha's big comeback. Instead, it turned into one of the most embarrassing testing disasters in modern MotoGP history. On the opening day of the official Sepang test, Fabio Quartararo crashed hard at turn 5, breaking the middle finger on his right hand. Despite the injury, he returned to the track that afternoon, desperate to get more laps. But then his bike stopped on track at turn 2, with what Quartararo initially described as an electronics issue. It wasn't electronics, it was the engine, and it was serious. Yamaha couldn't immediately find why the bike stopped, and that triggered massive safety concerns. If they didn't know what caused the failure, how could they guarantee it wouldn't happen again at 360 km per hour in a high-speed section? Technical director Max Bartolini explained, "Yesterday Fabio stopped on the track. We checked what the problem was and didn't find a clear solution. Considering the safety of the riders, our riders, and also the other riders, we decided before coming back on track to really understand the problem." On Wednesday, day 2 of the test, Yamaha made the unprecedented decision to sit out the entire session. Alex Rins, Jack Miller, Toprak Razgatlioglu, and test rider Augusto Fernandez all stayed in the pits, while engineers in Japan worked frantically to diagnose the issue. For the first time in modern MotoGP history, a top factory team had to sit out a full day of official testing due to engine problems. And here's where it gets worse. Alex Rins later revealed it wasn't just Quartararo's engine that failed. He said, "They told us that Fabio and Toprak broke 2 engines, one each, and that for safety reasons they wanted to limit the risk." Both Quartararo and Razgatlioglu had blown their V4 engines on day 1. Yamaha team manager Massimo Meregalli described the problem as really unexpected, unknown, and admitted it was an issue Yamaha had never experienced before. Former MotoGP rider Pol Espargaro was absolutely brutal in his assessment. He told DAZN, "The V4 not only lacks top speed, 15 km per hour less, but the engines are breaking down. The V4 project is not going very well." That's a devastating quote from someone who knows Yamaha intimately. Yamaha was able to return to the track on the final day after engineers in Japan found an interim solution, but riders were running with reduced power to limit stress on the engine. They couldn't do practice starts to preserve the remaining engines. The restrictions were severe, Rins explained. "Yamaha said to us that we can ride but with care, with calm. I mean, we cannot do many laps." The results were disastrous. Alex Rins set the best Yamaha time, 1.1 seconds off the pace. Jack Miller was 1.7 seconds behind. Toprak Razgatlioglu was almost 2 seconds off. Yamaha finished last among MotoGP's 5 manufacturers. Meregalli admitted the V4 engine is struggling for power, saying the bike is not performing badly, but the engine needs more power. Yamaha is now working on an updated engine spec, but it's unclear when it could be ready. The timing couldn't be worse for Yamaha. Fabio Quartararo is reportedly leaving for Honda in 2027 after 8 years with the Iwata brand. His frustration has been building for years. He hasn't won a race since the 2022 German Grand Prix, which means he's gone 72 races without a victory. And now his final Yamaha season is starting with a V4 engine that's blowing up in testing and lacks 15 km per hour on the straights compared to rivals. Now let's talk about the second bombshell that has the entire paddock in chaos. The 2027 MotoGP rider market exploded in 24 hours, with 3 major transfers reportedly agreed before the 2026 season has even started. Motorsport.com reported that Fabio Quartararo has agreed a 2-year deal with Honda for 2027 and 2028, bringing to an end his association with Yamaha. Jorge Martin, the reigning 2024 world champion, currently at Aprilia, will be taking Quartararo's place in the factory Yamaha squad. And Spanish newspaper AS reported that Pedro Acosta has agreed to join Marc Marquez at the factory Ducati team for 2027 and 2028. When asked about the Honda rumors at Sepang, Quartararo didn't deny anything. He said, "The only thing I can confirm to you today is that we are talking with teams. Honda is one of them, but we have nothing signed yet." But Motorsport.com sources understand the agreement between Quartararo and Honda is already sealed. Former MotoGP rider and World Superbike champion Carlos Checa is absolutely furious about these early agreements. He said, "I think that in the end, this is somewhat detrimental to the year 2026. Announcing these departures so early undermines the sporting intensity." Checa's point is simple but devastating. If these moves are finalized before spring, the 2026 season is likely to resemble a year of permanent transition. Will teams invest 100% in departing drivers? Will the drivers maintain the same strategic commitment? Honda factory rider Joan Mir echoed similar concerns, saying that rumors about the 2027 MotoGP rider market are unsettling riders amid fears of missing out on a seat. Both Mir and Luca Marini have contracts that expire at the end of 2026, and neither knows if they'll have a seat in 2027 now that Quartararo is reportedly coming in. And the biggest casualty of all this? Francesco Bagnaia, the 2-time MotoGP world champion. Ducati's move for Acosta means Bagnaia suddenly finds himself without a seat for 2027. Motorsport.com understands that this offensive is rooted in a damage prevention strategy. The urgency of the market, combined with Marc Marquez's demands for his new contract, forced Ducati executives to act decisively to secure Acosta as a top-tier rider and a high-quality successor for when Marquez retires. So where does Bagnaia go? It would not be far-fetched for him to team up with Martin at Yamaha, or for Honda to assemble a high-profile lineup featuring Bagnaia alongside Quartararo. Aprilia could also make him an offer to partner Marco Bezzecchi, one of his closest friends in the MotoGP paddock. The season starts in Thailand on March 1st, just days away. But instead of focusing on the season ahead, every rider, team, and manufacturer is consumed with 2027. Quartararo will spend his entire final Yamaha season as a lame duck riding a V4 engine that's already blown up twice in testing. Martin will be riding for Aprilia while everyone knows he's leaving. Bagnaia is scrambling to find a new team, and Acosta is stuck at KTM for one more year knowing his future is already at Ducati. What do you think? Can Yamaha fix their V4 engine problems before Thailand? Is Checa right that the early 2027 agreements will ruin the 2026 season? And where does Bagnaia end up? Drop your predictions in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more MotoGP news. I'll catch you in the next one.